Hello everyone, this is once again Gottfried Karl Heinrich Hofmann from BlenderDiplom.com, and this is a very special tutorial this time because, well, it's actually a direct answer to two different posts on Blender artists from two guys who wanted to know how to create motion trails or light streaks or 3D strokes in Blender, and for some reason I was just working on this effect when I read the post and also Jason Van Gumster's attempt, so I decided to create the tut right away and not wait any longer. And yeah, this tut will first show you how to create really cool motion trail light streaks and how to use Crouch's very cool new motion trail add-on, which is a really cool tool for animators all around because yeah, it's just very cool and it's very similar to a new tool in Maya 2011, so it just shows that Blender is always cutting edge. And yeah, let's take a look at the final version. I have of course camera and an empty for camera movements. We won't look into this, and we'll also skip all the compositing because we mainly will do the light streaks because you want to know how to do light streaks, so you'll get to know how to do light streaks. Maybe some very basic compositing, but not too crazy. And the basic light streak is very simple. It's a particle effect. So we'll set up a particle system, create a halo material with the right settings, and then use a texture to affect the settings of the halo material, like for example the color or the alpha or the add factor, by a texture that's defined over the lifespan of the particle. And that's another really cool new feature that's in Blender 2.57. It's been recently added by Chaka, and it's very versatile. So let's have fun and let's go. So here's Blender's default scene. We won't need the light, so let's delete it. And let's, yeah, not delete the default cube, but just go right into edit mode. And then I'm gonna select those vertices here, hit X, delete vertices, so we have just one vertex left. Then I hit S, 0, so it's scaled right to the center. And this is the vertex where we're gonna add our particle system. So I add a particle system, and first thing I'm gonna do is turn off the velocity, so the particles are not shot anywhere. Secondly, I'm gonna go down to field weights and remove the gravity. And now the most important part, I set the emission from faces to vertices and uncheck random. And what's happening, you can't see it yet because all particles are spawned at the very same location in the center of the scene. But what happens if we animate this? So let's hit I and insert a keyframe for location. And now I'm gonna go, let's say, to frame 120 and G, move it somewhere else. So location. And now let's move this, and we will see a trail of particles following the movement. And that's basically the trick. That's all you need to know how to set up the particle system. Maybe let's also change the emission to end at frame 120 and the lifetime 50. Oh, maybe that's okay. Yeah, no matter about the physics, don't care for the rotation, and well, in render I'm not rendering the emitter. Next thing to do is I'm gonna turn the horizon color to black and then add a halo material to our vertex. Yep, I reduced the size. And then let's do a very first render. And we got here our trail. Now render it again, and you will see that we've got a few problems of the particles because yeah, when we move this around, the location of the particles is always regenerated, and we can solve this problem by turning this cache size down to 1. And now when I hit Alt A, things take a little longer, but the effect should be gone. So let's go here, hit render, and render the image. And yeah, here we got our streak. Now for the cheap or cool trick. First of all, turn the color all the way down to black. Why are we doing this? Well, we want the color to be affected by a texture. Let's choose a blend. And the texture will add up to the color. Just like when you do smoke, you have to reduce the density down to 0. So the voxel data texture you got can mix up from 0 to the exact density from the voxel data. And here we got the same thing. We turn all the colors to 0, and our texture will add up those values for us. Here's one. Let's, for example, take a very perfect blue. Now our slot here will be blue. Let's make a small test. First, change the mapping to strand. And now everything should be fine. And we got a trail from blue to nothing. Okay, now what's happening if we turn this to red and let the blue mix in? See? This is the normal red, and here is a lot of blue, so we got some sort of pink. So now that we know how this works, let's turn it back down to black, and also turn off the alpha of the halo, because we're gonna also let it affect the alpha. And now we got a really nice fade out effect. And the next thing we want to add is a add effect of the halo material, and this means that you'll get some kind of magic look, but not yet, because to get this magic look we need to know a little bit more about the way the RGB works here in Blender. The add effect lets those values add up, and currently it can only add up blue, so the result will be blue. But what happens if we add a little red and a little green? The results should add up to white. So let's see. Not quite. Let's turn this way all up to 1. And you see it gets a lot lighter down here. So let's now choose a really cool color, like for example this here, that has a little bit of red and a little bit of green in it. And now let's see how this is looking. Ah, that starts to look pretty cool. And now if we also check this here, it should look a little cooler. It's kind of a laser-like effect, so you can also use this for, let's say you want to shoot with lasers. But what we are gonna do is, we're gonna do really, really cool motion trails. So let's animate this little vertex a little more. It starts here, and then let's say at frame 40, I'd move it up here and maybe also a little upwards. Insert a keyframe for location. Oh, quite a way. So let's get it down here, and then it's going here down, but we don't want it down there. We want it to move a little more like here too. Oh yeah, let's say here. Insert a keyframe for the location, and now let's see how this is going. Ah, not good, not good. Not unless we point it more towards this direction. Why I'm gonna doing this, you'll see in a second. I'm just doing some very simple animation, and later on we do the more complicated stuff. Yeah, that's all cool. We got 4 keyframes, length of 120 frames, and now let's enable a very cool add-on to really tweak this. And the add-ons, you can find them under user preferences. The add-on I want to enable is called Motion Trail. And that's an add-on you need to install currently because it's not shipped with Blender. So let me first enable it. And then let me show you where you can get it. And you can get it from Crouch's website. It's sites.google.com/site/bartiscrouch/script/motion trail. And of course that's really hard to remember, so I'm gonna put a link on my website beyond the tutorial to the script. And yeah, the script is really cool because it gives you a lot of good control over your keyframes without needing to touch the actual animation tools. So I've activated it, so let's enable it now. And see, we got some trail here. That's because that's why it's called Motion Trail, with handles and stuff. And now we can use this handle to change the path, just like with Bezier curves. And that's really cool. Let me first switch to the top view and then into perspective mode. No, into orthographic mode. And that's for a very good reason. And the reason I'm doing this is that when you select those handles, you can hit Q and then move them. But it only works good in orthographic mode. And perspective mode, yeah, it just won't work. So you need to do everything in orthographic mode currently, which is okay for me. I'm gonna hit Q and create this cool loop. Q again, and it's fine. And maybe also this here, Q, and a second loop for the trail. Q, Q, and back here. And let's see. Maybe let's also move this a little bit more in the up and down direction, or let's just see how this is. Oh, let's just see how this is currently looking. Now we need to every time we are testing the trail, we need to re-bake the particles. And we can do this by changing the emission a little and back, and this will free the cache, and we can hit Alt A again for a cool new test. And I see that this is just not working right currently. So let's just add a few more. Let's just work a little more on this trail thing. Let's check this here, Q, and yeah, why not this way? Q. Let's see how this is looking now. Not so cute, not so cool. So, G. I'm always hitting Q. So, all cool. Let's go a little backwards with the camera. I've done this by hitting Shift F. Now I'm in camera fly mode and can move the camera like in a 3D shooter. And well, yeah, this is the trail. Maybe I'm just gonna work a little more on this small loop here, and then I consider the trail finished. Once again, we need to restart the particle animation. So it goes slower and it moves this way. Yeah, that's cool. Now for some very neat feature of the motion trail is that you can check the speed along the trail. Moment. Down here in the style. Speed. And if you look at it, this is how where your trail will be faster or slower. And this will also be the parts of in your rendering where the particles will be denser or less dense. And thus where it's red, they will not be as dense, and where it's more bluish, they will be denser and thus lighter. So let's just check it out. Here around here we might get an effect. Let's render the image and see, here they are lighter than at the front where it's a little more reddish. So yeah, I guess I might tone down the hardness a little to get a lighter image, and yeah, here, see the effect? Pretty cool, right? Two very cool other things about the Motion Trail add-on are the integrated speed controls. So here you can select the mode, and let's select speed, and now you got parts, also points on your trail, which you can move to define the speed of your object on the trail. So let's, for example, go down here. That's a problem with the motion trail. When you want to select stuff, it's got a problem when you got other objects around or over it, because yeah, you can select your control points then. But let's move this now and see how the speed changes, because you get a live view of the speed through the colors, and that's also pretty cool. Or let's do it around here, because you got no particles blocking the view. So Q, go to the left or to the right. You don't need to actually follow the path, but move your mouse to the left or to the right, and now you can see here how it's changing the speed automatically. Here it's going faster first, and then it gets slower till the end. But a mode a lot more comply with than this speed change here is the timing mode, where you actually have those beats here, and you can select how fine-grained your control is, and now you can change the timing of your animation live. And this will also move the keyframes, so it's not just between two keyframes, but it's the whole thing. So for example, let's select here Q and move this a little, and yeah, this is now, while keeping the acceleration at this part where we change the speed, it's now changing the timing. So, and you can, down there on the timeline, you can see the keyframes moving. So this should result in a very fast, in a rather slow beginning and a very fast grand finale. So let's just check out again how this is looking. And boom. Yeah, very fast. And now let's check here how this is looking. And we'll use this part for a small bit of compositing. So I'm gonna move there, move in, and now render once again. Yeah, this is already looking pretty cool, but let's just add a very subtle glow to it, so it's looking a little better. So you could either check filter, glare, or use the manual method, and I'll try it just with glare. Image, add output, viewer, and I'll go with fog glow and high quality, of course. And yeah, maybe turn up the threshold a little, so we only see the white parts, because the white parts are actually whiter than white, so we can actually turn the threshold even more up than it's already there. And now the final look is pretty cool. Let's re-render it. Hmm? Nothing happening. Compositing, glare. Ah, I guess the threshold was up a little too much. So now we got a subtle glow where the curve is very, very bright and no more glow where it's fading out. So let's go back to the default. Yeah, pretty cool looks. And now for a few other things I want to change you, and or let's say a few other things I want to show you, and that's where the technique I'm showing you has problems. So you won't run into those problems yourself. So stay tuned. Yeah, now to the first thing I want to show you, and that's why I only choose one vertex for emission. Because, of course, you might get a lot cooler results if you use, for example, the 8 vertices of a cube or the 4 vertices of a plane or a triangle for emission. But let's say Blender's particle system is behaving a little unexpectedly in this case. So just let me show you. I'll add a cube and put it, doesn't matter where. And then here I select this one vertex, and here in the object properties, under object data, we can choose the vertices used for the object. So by changing it to cube, this one should now be a cube. Of course you can't see it because it's scaled to 0, so let's hit S and scale it upwards a little. Wow, very, very small one, and now it's slightly becoming a cube, and I'm scaling and scaling, and that's okay. Now let's see how this is behaving. And strange, right? What's happening? Well, it is in fact emitting particles from only one vertex at once. And then after a while it switches to the next vertex, and it's a really, really weird behavior. And other programs handle it the way that it's emitting from all vertices at once, and from what I've heard, this behavior we can't look at in Blender will be changed in future versions. So in future versions it will emit from all vertices at once, which means a lot cooler light streaks for us. And of course there is a small workaround, somewhat by choosing random. Now you notice that it's emitting more or less from all vertices at once, but in a really random jittered fashion, which won't look really cool when you render it. But before we render it, let's give it the same halo material as we gave the other one. And yeah, let's just render it, and it looks not good, not quite good. So let's more or less fix it by increasing the particle amount senselessly. And now let's see what's happening now. Yeah, it's somewhat... I don't think this is so cool. Maybe you like this style with the problems around the emitter, and here in the trail where the fade out is more like clouds than streaks, or clouded streaks. The future will make things brighter, and currently this is just not working right. Now for the next thing. Well, this is the second and last issue I'm gonna talk about today, and the question is, why did I animate the movement of the vertex manually and not create a path and let it follow a path? Because that would even be a little more versatile than the motion trail tool. Because you can create cool forms like stuff, and maybe create the silhouette of a girl, and the trail moves around the girl, or a text or something. And yeah, let me just show you what's happening. And here I got a vertex that's following a path, and it's got a particle system applied, and the same particle system with the same material on a normally animated vertex. And let's go. Huh? Strange, right? Let's render. Oh, the one with the path. It looks weird, right? And the problem is that with the usual animation, the position of the particles gets interpolated between frames, while when you parent it to an empty or a path, or use the follow path constraints, or use a bone to drive it, the movement of your particle system, or at least your emitter, then you'll get the phenomena that the emission of the particles is evaluated on every frame and not in the frames in between. So you get this weird behavior with these 20 balls instead of a straight line. And it's a confirmed bug. The developers are surely working hard to get rid of this, and once they got rid of this, the possibilities of this light streak idea I've shown you today will be a lot broadened, and you could do really cool stuff. So it's all an issue about staying tuned. And of course, there's a few possibilities how you can stay tuned on the developments on BlenderDiplom. It's all down there at the very bottom of the page where nobody sees it. I've added 6 services for you so you can stay tuned and always get the latest tutorials. It's Facebook, where I'm also doing blogging about a few other things like tutorials I do on other pages. Then here Flickr, where I'm uploading all the preview images for the tutorials so you can stay tuned too. So, and here's of course RSS. That's a very cool service. I guess everybody knows it. Here Twitter. Yeah, here's my latest tweets. If you stop the video, you can read them. Or of course Vimeo. That's where I upload the tuts. And YouTube. I'm also trying to keep my YouTube channel up to date, so okay, you can subscribe there too. So all in all, this is 6 possible ways for you to stay tuned of all the cool stuff happening on BlenderDiplom. So once again, thanks for watching and happy 2.57. Bye.